Good evening, everybody. Illidaris is here with some more Final Fantasy XIV. Well, we beat the last Light Warden last time. The big fat pig. And now we are infected, basically, with the light. And now, let's see what's going on. Oh, sir, you're awake. You were injured during the foray on Mount Gulagus. I was here at my station, as always, when they carried you in on a makeshift stretcher, looking disturbingly bereft of vigor. And to compound my worry, the sky has, well, I'm sure you've seen it. It has everyone rather concerned, to say the least. Seeing you up and about is the good news we've had in a while. Assuming you feel strong enough, would you, mayhem, consider a stroll around the city to reassure our anxious citizens? Braggy was one of those who helped convey you to your chambers, and he has visited several times since to inquire your condition. Braggy? Who's Braggy? Well, well, look who's back from the dead. It was a grim sight. Your companions looked ready to drop when they brought you in. So I offered a helping hand. Couldn't bear to see them in circles, so. And you, my friend, I feared you had one foot in the grave, cold and lifeless as you were. Like a corpse that was somehow still breathing. Really? Thanks, Jack. Oh, shoot. I meant to do something. Bah, but moaning never solved a thing, did it? Nay, it's times like these we Castarian folks stand tall and do what needs to be done. Trade with Yomor is back on the table. We best make use of those resources to fortify the city against eaters, or whatever misery the fates deem fit to throw at us next. Speaking of misery, Chesamel was worried sick about you. A healer wringing her hands is not the sight you ever wish to see, let me tell you. She's up there. I'm just being silly with Jack, one of my friends. Told him to bring me a paella. Well, where is she? Over here? Oh, yeah. Oh, sweet, you're alive. No one's been allowed to see you. Even Spaggerix Shurikens were forbidden from making visits. Rain was kind enough to tell me you were showing symptoms similar to Eater corruption, so I suppose there was little any of us could have done for you in the case. As for your companions, they've been rushing hither and yon, seeking a cure to your condition. I worry to see their faces grow even more haggard every time they pass through the Caesarium. I shall let them know when you're awake. Oh, I shall let them know you're awake. And when they come to see you, sweetie, please do convince them a bit of rest. They won't be helping anyone if they all collapse of exhaustion. And our own Morin has been little better, I'm afraid. He hasn't left the cabinet. Too busy with his nose buried in one of those dusty tomb after another. Sorry. There's a quest. Now wait a gosh darn minute. A Moogle? I love Moogles. Nutsy, your fearless leader, still alive and Koopoing. I'll have you know. But Halidor described in exact detail how the beast snatched you out of the air, how you struggled to free yourself in vain, you were disemboweled and depalmed. Certainly not. As you can see, I am the picture of perfect health, Kupo. No thanks to that villain Haldor. No. I'd say he was the aspiring depalmer, considering how many times he nearly chopped it off in the midst of our battle with that elite mark. I rather think you have only yourself to blame for that, after all. Was it not you who encouraged him and the others to strike you down and claim leadership? Aye, aye, for the thrill of it, which he gave me and then some. If only by his poor attempts at treachery, that weakling wouldn't last a moment against me in a stand-up fight. As you may have gathered, it takes a certain character to rise within the highest exions of the clan. You gotta eat, sleep, and breathe danger. You gotta love putting it all on the line against elite marks and elite hunters besides. You got to be bloody mad. So congratulations, Jarek. You're in. Are you sure this is wise? Wise schmize. He's a killer. I want to see him kill. I want to see him die. More blood for Clan Nutsy. More blood, Kupo. Gosh. It's that ridiculous philosophy that lost us hunters by the boatload. How are we supposed to build a sustainable organization when you keep encouraging people to kill themselves in the most violent and pointless ways possible? Well, you see, the thing is... I'm like, I just wanted to say that you may be the most promising new hunter I've seen in ages. Brilliant work out there. Really marvelous. Jolly good. And on that note, goodbye. One day I'm gonna rip that palm off his head and shove it down your throat, you furious. Anyway, you may now hunt and leave marks. Do not try to die, and if you happen to run into our fearless leader in the field, kill him. God. Confound it. This says the same thing as the last. Mayhaps I should approach the problem from a different perspective. Jarek, is it truly you, and not some figment of my imagination? Oh, but this is wonderful. It would seem our prayers have been answered. Feeling otherwise helpless, I've been scouring our shelves for the wisdom to explain this most worrisome conundrum. Why, with all the light wardens defeated, has light returned to obscure the sky? I must have pored over 100 tombs, but no definition conclusion seems forthcoming. So many questions I would pose to the Exarch, and thus do I feel his absence all the more keenly. Now that you are awake, however, I am hopeful for a search for our stolen steward might begin in earnest. Catless, meanwhile, leads the crystal mean in preparation for battle. Though against what foe, we are yet uncertain. Why not pay her a visit? I expect seeing you upright would be a much welcome relief. Jarek and live and well, I see. You gave us all a proper fright. You know what? You know that? The friends you made in the Festids have been talking with me, wondering what they could do to help. Anyway, I'm glad you recovered enough to stand. You're not planning on striking out straight away, though, are you? I was hoping you'd have a better look at your equipment. If we've been able to provide you with better weapons and sturdier helms, then maybe you would have won the day, and the Exarch would still be here. As such, we're keeping busy consulting each other on new forging techniques and designs and the like. If you could stand still a moment, I'd like to assess the gear we're trying to improve. Well, that's some fine work, I must admit. It wouldn't be impossible to make something better, but we need to experiment with different patterns and materials, and I'm not sure we have that kind of time. It sounds like a challenge that he would enjoy. You look familiar. Greeting, Galnard? Is that Galnard? The master of the stairs is running his own errands now, is he? Well, my servers are distraught enough as it is, and I didn't want to crack the whip too hard. But never mind that. I'm thinking our absent genius and his epiphanies are the perfect answer to this predicament of yours. And by genius, you mean old Genault? Or Grenault? Grenault? Did I pronounce it? He is a man of unrivaled gifts. I won't argue with you there. But what good does his talent do us if we can't bloody find him? No one's seen nor hair of Genault since he wandered off some years ago. You know what he is like once he latches onto an idea. He probably cloistered himself in some forgotten cave, completely absorbed in his latest creation. I wouldn't even know where to start looking. It does make things difficult. Still, if the eccentric is someone you desire to meet, I'll wager he'll show up soon enough. In the meantime, or in my time at the bar, many of the tales I've heard told of strangely fated encounters. Even a few of them might be stretching the truth just a bit. We'll keep our noses to the grindstone for the time being. But on the off chance you encounter Grenault, you'd be wise to take advantage of his brilliance rather than wait on our slow and steady progress. This is all talk for when you fully recovered, of course. I'll let you get back to convalescing, eh? Before you do that, you're actually the reason I came over here in the first place. I don't suggest partaking of my stock until you're properly well, but if you're passing your stairs, then I have a regular who's eager to meet you. Okay. I best be getting back. Just because the world's coming apart at the seams doesn't mean we have to follow suit now, does it? Here. We can't forget the heart upon which the city was founded. Or the Exarch might not have much of a home to return to. Jack, should you be up and about already? In his garden. Jarek, are you alright? I think a return to your sickbed might be in order. Or you might consider resting a while atop the watchtower next to the rookery. This damnable sky doesn't make for the most soothing scenery, but the Exarch often like to stand there and feel the wind upon his face. Got to rest again. Hello, Nickel. How are you? My messages aren't showing up again.
The people of this city have spirit, I'll give them that. They've not lost the will to fight. I can imagine how torn you must feel, looking at that sky. Knowing what it means to everyone. And that you're responsible. If you're thinking of coming clean, don't. It might make you feel better, but it would make things 100 times worse for them. They're better off not knowing.
You got a point. I'm okay. What are you doing?
You're in a corner, and there doesn't seem to be any obvious way out. But that doesn't mean it's over. However hopeless it seems, you haven't lost yet. I remember looking up at the sky like this before. Being caught up in a strange kind of calm. It was after we realized we were responsible for the flood. When we resolved to journey to the source by taking our own lives. One last sacrifice. One last fight. One last failure. And then the Oracle appeared and... well, you know the rest. There were times in the years and decades that followed when I wondered if we might not have been better off just letting the rejoining happen. That we'd made one last mistake. But seeing that giant Talos stir to life cured me of any doubts I still had. Always we took the burden of fighting upon ourselves. That's what heroes do, isn't it? So we never had the chance to see anything like that. Our people coming together as one.
Was watching other videos and he clicked on this. Oh, nice.
To think that their hope still burned so bright. That they were still so eager to live, they would lift up their fellows, one on top of the other, till they reached the sky. No. We made the right decision. And I can finally feel proud of the part we played in helping this world survive. Well, come on then.
Yeah.
As I thought. What happened between us was no coincidence. My story may be finished, but the fates have gifted me a minor role in yours. I suspected as much the moment I realized you could hear me. But it's hard not to doubt yourself when you're the man who caused the flood.
ZanyJanie? Oh, she's somewhere. She's probably busy crafting.
was afraid to do anything more than watch for fear of making things even worse. But no longer. After all, the path I once walked is now yours to finish. For what it's worth, I cast my lot with yours.
Thank
If
you.
you need a push, I'll be right there behind you. If you lose control, I'll do my best to stop you. So, let us be about it, hero.
Oh, I was worried you were up here all alone, brooding and fretting and wallowing in your woes. But look at you, grinning at nothing like a pollen-drunk pixie. Look at what you've done to your ether. It's a mess. And you have cracks running all through that pretty soul of yours. My poor little sapling. Whatever am I to do with you? Shall I yield up my throne? You could claim it, cut ties with the mortal world, hide away in the castle. It won't fix the problem, but would it really matter? If any pesky heroes come calling with steel and magic, all of Ilmeg will rise up in your defense. My crown and scepter are yours, if you want them. What? Don't give me that look. Of course I knew before I asked that you'd never ever heed such a wicked suggestion. And besides, what would become of my precious and ephemeral flower? Dear beloved sapling, you are lost, confused, and have precious little time to gather your wits. Your kind is always so preoccupied with what lies ahead, and so we muddle your vision with fog and glamour. But such trickery is easy to see through. Stand very, very still. Think not of where you need to go, but where you are right now at this moment, at this time, in this place. Our cairn of crystal. From shadowed hood he watched you go, his ruby eyes with warmth aglow. See yourself as he saw you, and that shall be the clearest clue. You stand in his garden, dear sapling. Ask his flowers what they know, and you will surely find an answer. But what will you do with it, I wonder? I'll be watching and waiting. Waiting and watching.
I have to get to the Crystal Tower. Geronimo. Ooh. Oh, I did not expect to see you on your feet so soon. Surely you have not come in search of an Amaro. What do I know of the Crystal Exarch? I'm happy to share, but I fear will be no surprising revelations. As any in the city would tell you, he is a man of wisdom and compassion and many untold secrets. But none can doubt his generosity. When the Castarium was being constructed, he even allowed folks to plunder the tower for resources. He has imposed no restrictions upon us but one. No one except the Exarch is permitted to dwell within the spire. Many seasons passed. A comrade of mine was bold enough to ask the reason why. The Exarch merely smiled and said, "Because one day the crystal tower may vanish suddenly as it arrived." Can't go that way. Okay. Oh, was there something else you needed? If you come for the results of my research in this persisting light, I'm afraid there's little to tell you as of yet. Records pertaining to the Exarch. Well, I need no documentary to rely what little I know of his history, if that's what interests you. Ahem. Less than a decade had passed since the coming of the flood, when the Crystal Tower first flashed into existence. Its summoner, the Exarch himself, became known to the refugees in Lakeland soon thereafter. He welcomed all who sought out the spire, be they locals who had lost their homes, or Volberts fleeing their ruined kingdom, and together did they found the city which would become the Crystarium. Some thought to call him king, for he refused to share his name, but the summoner did not deem himself worthy of royal address. Thus did the people consider his scintillating skin so alike to the tower he had summoned, and bestowed upon him the title of the Crystal Exarch. As for his true name, well, 'twould seem that is a mystery that remains unsolved to this day. Yeah, we know it. I know his name, I just can't, off the top of my head, remember it. Cassard. Jarek, it is good to see you awake and alert, my friend. What's this about? You're not writing the Exarch memories, are you? I'm not sure how much I can tell you, considering we avoid asking too many questions, unspoken rule and all that. If anyone has fresh insights to share, then it'd be Captain Lena, I'd say. She lost her parents to an eater attack not long after she was born, and the Exarch saw her to her upbringing. Outward appearances aside, those two are like grandfather and granddaughter. I imagine the news of his predicament hit her doubly hard. Not that our proud captain would ever let it show. If you decide to talk to Lena, she'll be at her usual post at the accessor gate. Accensor? Accensor. Can I complete this quest as a black mage? No, I cannot. I need one more level. Jarek, I was not told you had awoken. A welcome surprise. Now, if only the Exarch was returned to us. Was taken by this rival of yours, was he not? Your companions mentioned that they had an idea of where to find him, and so I bristled when they asked for patience. I didn't understand their hesitation until I saw that you had fallen. Only then did I realize that I had no business rushing ahead. Even so, the delay has been no less agonizing. In the moments before he left to join you in Kulisha, the Exarch entrusted me with the key. It opens the door in the Alcova to the chamber known as the Umbilicus. This room is the heart of the tower, into which only the Exarch himself is permitted to enter. I need that key. He bid me allow none into the tower once he had departed. Only in the event that an army of eaters descended upon the city was I to access the umbilical and awaken the defense barrier. Never before had he left me with such instructions, but the battle with Valkyrie loomed near, and the time I accepted the key without much thought. Since then, however, that moment is all that occupies my mind. When I recall the look upon his face, he knew that some terrible fate had awaited him. Tell me, Jarek. I need to know what he feared. What battle you and your companions are truly fighting. Forgive me. I trust in the Exarch, and I should not be voicing these doubts where he is not here to respond to them personally. But you come to me with questions of your own, have you not? I see I'm not the only one who burns for answer. The time has come to open the tower's heart, though we do not face an invasion of eaters. I suspect the city will be in far more danger if you do not gain the knowledge you seek. Come, meet me in the Akiterra and I will unlock the door within. Oh, poor Jane. You're fighting the battle of not enough candy. That sucks. You wouldn't like my M&Ms. They're white chocolate. Wind up rain. I was wondering if she was 80. There you go, Jack. Master Jarek, the captain said I was to expect you. Oh, yeah, all of us. You're right.
I have unlocked the door to the umbilicus. You are free to enter. Once you have what you require, I'll see it sealed once more. Until then, I will remain without.
Thank you. Books upon books.
A moment to collect my thoughts, I prithee. Thy true name is Grahatia, then?
Grahatia.
By thy claims, thou too art a native of the Source, though from an age beyond our own, when the 8th umbral calamity hath visited devastation upon our star. Thou hast, by subtle means, reached across the boundaries of time and space to unsow the seeds of catastrophe, ere its creeping vines drag our champion unto an early grave.
In essence, yes. A difficult story to swallow, I am sure.
I doubt not the veracity of thy words, not the account of thy coming, nor that of the fated calamity. Yet my mind straineth still to apprehend the enormity of this tale. Wouldst thou favor me with a gradual unfolding of its chapters?
Certainly. But where to begin? I should start with those great minds who survived the calamity. Sid Garland being perhaps the greatest. In hopes of staying the unending tides of war, he and his fellows pursued all manner of possible solutions. One of these was rooted in a theory which unified several fundamental principles discovered over the course of the Warrior of Light's adventures. It proposed a method by which one could enter the River of Time, traverse the rift, and leap between worlds. Perfecting that idea, however, was a work which consumed their lifetimes. and thus was it left to future generations to decide whether theory would be put into practice. But all the while, the world continued to burn. Hope was a feeble outpost, beset on all sides by thievery and misery and murder. People cried out in despair, "There is no hope, we are finished. Mankind is finished." Then others raised their voices in answer. Though we be beyond salvation, those who came before may yet be saved. We will forge a crossroads and pave the way for a different future. By the wisdom of our forebears, we will prevent this calamity from ever having come to pass. The fighting went on unabated, but some few took up Cid's research and labored to realize those impossible ideas. After 2 centuries of labor, their descendants finally succeeded in awakening the Crystal Tower, an integral part of the process, and, in doing so, roused its caretaker, me. By this stage, scholars had largely established the phenomena underpinning the rejoining, and identified the first as the shard which precipitated the 8th Umbral Calamity. This grand structure was already capable of storing the energies required to attempt the translocation. All that remained was to augment some few of its functions based upon the theoretical models of Cid and his compeers.
And by means of such technologies didst thou effect thine arrival in the first, to an age before this star had joined with the Source.
Some while before, as it turned out. 'Tis all but impossible to predict how time will flow between one world and the next, and we missed our mark by almost an entire century. But this only worked in our favor. The Sin Eaters could not be defeated without the blessing of light, and summoning the only man who might stand a chance against them would require decades of preparation.
An undertaking of scarce credible endurance. But thou hast kept thy plan from falling into disarray these many years, bordereth on the miraculous. Yet howsoever history be rewritten, thy present self was shaped by events which followed the calamity. Should said catastrophe be averted, the very skein of thine existence will unravel. Surely thou hast foreseen this.
I am aware of the consequences. 'Tis for that very reason Cid and his colleagues bequeathed their legacy as an offering, and not an edict.
An edict?
To give all of oneself for the happiness of others, and with no promise of reward. 'Tis a hard thing to ask. Harder still for those condemned to survive in a world which pitted brother against brother. Indeed, you are right to call the execution of this plan miraculous, though the force which held it together was nothing so inexplicable. It was him. The warrior of light has been our unbroken thread. Where others would stumble and fall, he would rise above. Where others would break and run, he would carry on. The warrior of light's tale is one of unyielding bravery. To tell it was to feel courage. To hear it was to feel hope. It was a breath of inspiration in an age of suffocating shadow. In the histories of a fallen nation was our hero hailed as its greatest ally. In the time-worn pages of a noble's memoirs were his deeds joyously retold. For many, These stories were the flame which warmed them through the coldest of nights. And so it should come as little surprise that the plan found no shortage of volunteers, concerning as it did the Warrior of Light himself. It was their chance to add their own verse to the hero's saga. He was the lodestar that brought them all together, to send their final message back through time and space to him. The light of your legacy was our torch in the darkness. Burn bright again and live. I am merely the bearer of that wish, come to ensure it is safely delivered.
Wherefore sharest thou this burden with me and no other? What wouldst thou have me say?
That you will be my accomplice? 'Twas you yourself who convinced me of your suitability when you spoke of how you learned of the Flood, and of your part in arranging Minfilia's journey to the First. Your actions showed uncommon resolve. 'Twas clear you were committed to the cause of saving this world. I knew I could trust you to choose the right path forward, even if that choice came with a heavy price.
What price?
When all is said and done, and the last of the Light Wardens lies slain, I will absorb their corrupted ether, and then I will die. Knowing what I know of your companions, not to mention your champion, they will try to stop me, but in saving one, they would save none. Therefore, I implore you to aid me in concealing my identity, and ensuring this tale ends as it must. To this end, I would have you take what I have told you of the Calamity, and make of it a portent. A prophetic vision you beheld in the swirling chaos of the Rift.
Is this truly thy wish?
History remembered the Warrior of Light, as I knew it would. And I will suffer no other to rescue the champion whose star has charted my course. I will see this tale to a happy end, my friend. There has been enough tragedy.
Careful now. If you lose control again, the Light could claim you for good. Although it's probably only a matter of time before you succumb to the change in any case. What do you mean to do? We should be on our way. Diassian mentioned the Tempest, did he not? That's the stormy seas around Calusia to you. His lair must be down there somewhere, hidden beneath the waves.
Calusia, here I come. Did you find the answers you sought? If there's nothing more you need, I will go lock the door. I question the Tempest. The Tempest. That name is given to the seas by which Calusia is bound. If you make a request to the Tamers, they will provide you an armor to fly over you over the waters, but... Do you mean to leave this right? Do you mean to leave right this moment? Alone? I'm not sure that nay, I will not seek to stop you. Go with the blessing of the shadow, and I shall await your safe return. You require an emerald? Just a moment, I shall set our swift beaks fly you in the open water to the depths of the Tempest. Our Amaro can swim, yes, but to reach the ocean floor?
Ah, we have found thee. Word reached us of thy recovery, and thus did we gather with all haste. Ah. By thy looks, I gather thou hast gleaned that which I came to tell thee.
Yep.
Urianger has shared everything with us. The Exarch's true identity and purpose.
I offer no excuses. When I agreed to aid the Exarch with his plans, 'twas in full acceptance of the condemnation I would face when my duplicity was laid bare. Yet it is not rancor, but resolve that I sense in thee. Thou art fully intent upon walking thy path to its end, art thou not? If thou canst forgive my deception, or, failing that, set aside thy displeasure for a time, I do beg leave to follow thee. What strength and wisdom I possess are thine to command. I understand the precarious nature of thy condition. Nonetheless, it is my wish to remain at thy side for as long as I am able.
I'm sorry, but I don't think this is a good idea. Leaving the Crystarium, I mean, with or without Urianger. What I did for you won't last forever. There's no telling when the light will break free again. Please, you must stay here, at least for a little while longer. We will find a way to cure this, I promise you.
How can you make promises? We don't even know where to start.
Alize, please. You know Reen was only trying to help.
Of course I know! I know only too well! But making promises you have no way of keeping is not a kindness. It's a lie. Plain and simple. We've all searched high and low for an answer, and every one of us came back empty-handed. I am not about to stand in his way now. Not after failing him in his hour of need. No! The least we can do is...
We will go with you as well. There is naught to be gained by standing still.
Indeed, we have exhausted every other avenue. Lead, and we shall follow. If there is any hope to be found, then we will surely find it at your side.
Are we all in agreement, then?
Is there aught we can do to help?
Though we may not know the whole story, we do know you're in for a fight. And while the Exarch's away, it falls to the rest of us to see the Warrior of Darkness is given a proper send-off.
You told them?
No. Well, not in so many words.
Aye, we didn't need it spelled out for us. When the night sky appeared over whichever place you went to, it was harder not to put two and two together.
From the moment I heard that you and the Exarch shared the homeland, I had my suspicions. Long had he been waiting for a certain someone to arrive, and I knew at once that it must be you.
Exactly. When he went up to meet you, it was clear it was no ordinary visitor. That spring in his step spoke volumes. I could feel his excitement.
Eat him! That's right! Murder!
We do not fully understand where you or the Exarch hail from, or why you've all done so much to protect us. But we are deeply grateful nonetheless. So, if there is anything at all we might do to aid your journey, you need only name it. What would you have of us?
You might have invited them to join us, where there are not so many. But come, they are waiting. What is your will, O Warrior of Darkness?
I love you, Stola. Thou didst plan to command thee and Amarillo for thy journey to the open sea. I fear the following dive down unto Emmett Selch underwater abode would drain even thy legendary stamina. Thus, during thy confidences, we considered the most efficacious method for reaching the depths of the Tempest, and I believe we have arrived at the elegant solution. But ere we discuss this step, I suggest thou dost conclude such pressing business as remains to thee in the Crystarium. Once the sea closes above our heads, we are unlike to surface again until our grand deed is done. Oysters in a half shell. Ew. Thine affairs are in order, then I shall unfold to thee my proposal. Our destination is in the ocean floor, yet our goal is not simply to arrive there. Nay, we must have the means to breathe and fight freely. Thus would I petition the aid of one of the Fae, a being with whom I have yet to meet face to face. Rather than waste words on explanation, I bid thee follow me unto hamlet of Solon, which lieth south and west. All will become abundantly clear, I promise thee. Orianja's speech confuses my tongue. If I just read it with my eyes, I'd be fine. What you got planned, Orianja? There, to the west, you can now discern the hump of an isle rising above the water. That foliage-covering mass hideth the key to our safe descent. Swim close and plunge thee beneath the surface. Thou shalt soon divine the reason of mine, for instance. Though it be much to my shame, I can but flail and flounder where thou mayest glide as a fish. I shall board a boat to the island, and spare one on all the spectacle of mine inept strokes. Dive, dive, dive! This isn't really an island. It's a living creature. Well, what hast thou discerned? Never mind. reminds me of a certain primal. Most perceptive. According to the lore of the Pixies, we are, even now, perched upon the back of an ancient Fey entity. Its name is Bismarck, yet the self-same title given by which we know the great feathered whale revered by the Vanu of the source. I would enlist its aid to bear us into the deep, and thence banish the water with an airy sphere, alike in the form of to the domes which do shelter hamlets nearest the Ruby Sea. Within its compass, we may move unencumbered, and defend ourselves when the hour of battle cometh, as it most surely shall. Now I must needs ask for silence whilst I make my supplications.
Wir Sach, Bilan Bismail. Fallen si lor wislan, ada si alina.
Van Urs Atslir, Olfothim, Iri Guath Thi.
Oh dear. I don't need to speak Fey to know that didn't go well.
Yeah.
Oh, my snake yak! You've learned to call me at last! And where do you go? On a trip? A journey? I knew you wouldn't give up without a fight. Oh, my precious mortal, I shall help you in any way I can. Gers Bismail win picked. Van dromi drom Jacob. Van red Rithje.
Ahai una, Sahawin Wilsk. Isnuvim, Sur Vierlo.
Be sure to scrub this one's teeth for him upon your return. It's only good manners.
It will be done, Your Majesty. Our deepest thanks for your timely intervention.
An agreement is reached and your departure is at hand. You wingless ones best hold on tight. May the blessings of the Fae keep you safe, Inba.
Lo Vallo Ruiz. Van in Narsitar. Dir Sidagna.
Wow.
And just like that, it's all gone back to the way it was.
What was you expecting? 100 years of honey and rainbows? Seeing them Yulmore types wake up and smell the ashes was miracle enough for me.
Ah, the magic in the air when that ladder started moving. And when that great hulking Talos rose up. Gods. I could live 1,000 years and never behold anything so amazing.
What the? Do you see that?
That was cool.
What a monster! Where did it even come from?
That giant tsunami is gonna hit.
Whoa, yeah! It's not stopping. Run! Run!
Vanana Ana Tilden Sino Iri Albsi Funne Aktva von Jasni Tagnai.
Wow.
The breath of Bismarck. See how it swells to form a dome beneath the waves? The waters recede. The tempest's floor is laid bare. In defiance of the blinding sky, this place holds fast to its gloom. The last refuge of he who denies the light with every fiber of his being. You stand at the precipice, hero. Journey unto the heart of darkness. Finish it.
How full glad I am that Bismarck was true to his word. We have arrived in the tempest, safe and dry. 'Tis here that we shall find the lair of Emmet, and I believe the imprisoned Exarch as well. For an Ascian alone, it is the course it is of course a trifling matter to flee unto the rift. Yet I suspect such travel is nigh impossible with the mortal in one's custody. Nay, he would not soon risk his prize when the Exarch's very body serveth as the key to the Crystal Tower and its powers of temporal transportation. Thus am I all but certain that this underwater realm harboreth our friend and enemy both. We have but to find them. Now, as for where we should be looking, I rather doubt Emmett will be sitting around out in the open. I propose we follow the slope down towards the deeper trenches and keep an eye out for rock formations large enough to house a stronghold. Let's be off then, but watch your footing. The ground is still wet and like to be slippery. I'm getting that Ethernet curtain. Oh wow. Seriously? You can fly in here? That's a weird looking Ethernet. The finless ones. They followed me. Why have you come? Was it you who took away our water? So this is where the Ondo make their home. I had wondered. Pray forgive us any inconvenience we have caused. We were not aware your people lived here in the Tempest. We need this great dome of air that we might conduct a most urgent search, and let's beg for your understanding. Chieftain, what are we to do? Are you emissaries of the Ancient One? the mysteries have stirred. We have seen the illuminated land shining through the gloam of the abyss. If you are emissaries, the chosen, I bid you welcome. If you are not, I bid you leave. I am not sure I understand. Would you be willing to elaborate? It would seem not. I suggest we withdraw for the moment. So what's the plan? Given your condition, I am reluctant to suggesting lingering here. As said, our presently mendeering search would proceed far more swiftly if we could call upon the Ondo's local knowledge. Yes, I'd like to know about this illuminated land the chieftain spoke of. Could it be Emmett's stronghold? Do you suppose? Perhaps he lit the lanterns upon his return? We cannot dismiss the possibility. But if these Ondo refuse to speak with us... Jack, do you remember my first scheme of entering Ilmore? How I had planned to integrate myself by offering lucrative trading opportunities with the Ondo? The individual I dealt with was reciting in manner and curious in custom, but we were able to reach an agreement nonetheless. I believe with that right approach we can build a similar relationship here. What kind of approach did you have in mind? That chieftain fellow didn't leave us many options. If we are to tread the swiftest course, then we must locate its beginning. This plain or all too dramatic arrival hath thrown this settlement into confusion. Were we to solve problems such as we have caused, and assure our hosts thereby that our propose here is not inimical to them, they may yet prove it amiable to reason. I smell chores, but very well, if it can be done quickly. What do you think? I have nothing better to offer, but I do worry what will happen if the Ondo's tales end up leading us to a dead end. I cannot say for certain, but I sense this tribe has a deeper connection to the Ascians than first meets the eye. It warrants further investigation. Thus I cast my vote in favor of aiding the settlement for the time being. We'll make the allies. Then it's settled. You stole a prey. Proceed with your investigations. The rest of us will see about fostering some goodwill. Jarek, you won't believe who I just bumped into. This is... Okay, I'm gonna butcher this. Pas Owen? The very fellow I did business with prior to our ill-fated stay in Ilmore. I waited, and you did not come. Then the mist came, but his visit did not continue. I'm truly sorry, Pas Owen. Things did not proceed as I planned. Or as planned. Is there aught we can do for you by the way of apology? Perhaps. Where the dry return, a cavern to the north is home to giant crabs. We do not fear the crab, for we are swift swimmers. But now there's no water, we can run, and they scuttle close behind, snipping and snapping their claws. There are too many of them. Too many. I believe I can be of assistance there. And what do you think, Jarek? And what are you, Jarek? If you've not found a task, we are most welcome to join me indeed. I shall appreciate the company when the dry returns. Where the dry returns has a rather ominous ring to it. Oh, come now. You barely touched that water. Oops, wrong bag. I wonder if it's a dungeon we're gonna go to. You could crack their shells, You must be stronger than you look. I see you reached your quota first again. I shall never be your equal in such task. Still, I would say we have reduced the local crab population to a far less threatening number. My thanks to both of you. You must have reward. Nay, Posh Owen, this was part of my apology to you, remember? Besides which, the lack of waters is our doing, for which we must also make amends. Might I convince you to tell us something more about your village instead? I would very much like to learn more of your people. Very well. Before the flood came, it is said that our ancestral home was found in the seas to the south. It was utterly destroyed by the light. Only those who were out hunting survived. They swam, aimless and lost, until they spied buildings here on the ocean floor. Strange buildings they were, and long had they stood underwater, yet somehow they had been spared the scars of time and current. These structures provided shelter for my people, protecting from the tempest, turbulent waters, and the predators which hunted within them. Their very existence seemed a miracle. The first settlers pondered their good fortune. It was clear that the race who had built such wonders had guided their course, and for this did they discern the truth. That the ancients had chosen us to serve as caretakers for the eternal sanctuary until such time as they returned. Thus, if it is judged that your coming and great vanishing of water was by the ancients' design, you will find a warm welcome here. A truly astonishing history. Yet I cannot help but wonder how will the significance, or otherwise, of our arrival be decided. The ancients have blessed us with protection and prosperity. If your presence serves to bring us the same, there shall be no doubt in the matter. Blue. Then it would seem our earlier detection was the correct one. We thank you for your lesson, Posh, and will continue to do all we can to assist your people. Should you desire our help with any trouble, pray do not hesitate to ask. We should return to the task at hand, only do not try to overexert yourself, my friend. The risk far outweighs the gain. What's this? Are you an Aether Current? Yes, you are. But we'll do that next time. I'm going to end it here, folks. I want to thank you for watching and coming, and I hope to see you next time. Anyways. Ciao.